Panerai should be big. Anything smaller than 44 millimeters is too small. Back in the days, Panerai, they made watches in 60 millimeter sizes, 47 millimeter sizes, and Panerai was a brand that really rode the wave of big watches 5 and 10 years ago. Now the trend is turning towards watches becoming smaller, and even Panerai as a watch brand has a nice variety of smaller sized watches in their collection. But you actually have to look a little bit back in their catalog if you want to find the real nice gems, which are for smaller wrist sizes or for people who just like their watches a bit smaller. So here is my personal Panerai. It's a pre-owned watch. I bought it months ago, but now it's time for actually giving you the review and also talk a little about Panerai watches. So it comes in this nice wooden Panerai box. You remove this cloth, Officine Panerai Firenze, and here we find the watch. This is a discontinued Panerai. This is the Panerai Luminor Marina 00070. So here we have the watch close to the camera. The PAM070 was only produced for a few years in the year 2000 and the year 2001. This is of course a pre-owned watch I bought some months ago because I really fell in love with this very simple Panerai Luminor Marina with the specifications and of course the size. This is the very first Panerai ever in my collection. Panerai released two series of the 070. First they released a bunch of watches in 2000 and then a bunch of watches in 2001. All in all, only approximately 2,700 watches was produced back in the day. The watch, it does measure 40 millimeters in diameter. It measures 48.2 millimeters lock tip to lock tip. It measures 15.5 millimeters in thickness, including this slightly domed sapphire crystal. And then you have a lock opening here of 22 millimeters. And of course I'm only measuring the case because if you include the Panerai crown guard here, it becomes much bigger. You see, this has a really nice kind of metallic sunburst blue dial, and it is a sausage dial because the hour markings here, they are applied to the dial or printed to the dial. They're not a sandwich dial, which you see on a lot of Panerai watches as well. So 6 and 12, Luminor Marina below 12 o'clock, Panerai at 6 o'clock. The running seconds here, this kind of unusual placement between 10 and 8. And then you have a little magnifying glass here at 3 o'clock with the date. Of course, the typical Panerai crown guards with the crown protection function here. Everything is brushed, made in stainless steel. Turning the watch over, it is a screw down case back. This watch holds 300 meters of water resistance. And although this is a Panerai watch, at 15.5 millimeters in thickness, it is actually not that heavy. 106 grams. It has Luminova loom, so let's just have a loom shot. Great loom. I'm absolutely happy with the loom on this watch. And it is of course a dive watch with 300 meters of water resistance, so you expect great loom. Inside of the watch is a very interesting movement, the OP3, which is actually not a Panerai movement, but is a heavily modified Valjoux movement. A heavily modified Valjoux 7750 P1 movement that is originally actually a chronograph movement. So it's very interesting to see a watch company take a chronograph movement, remove a lot of parts, and just have a time and date movement with small seconds. It beats at 28,800 revolutions per hour, and it has 41 hours of power reserve. It is essentially a dive watch, but you don't have any rotating bezel function, but again, 300 meters of water resistance. It comes with this kind of annoying screw system for changing straps. This is an aftermarket strap. It did come on a leather strap originally with a really nice deployment from Panerai, and I can always put it on the leather strap if I want a more kind of classic look. But as it is a sports watch and it's summer right now, I prefer it on this rubber strap. So let's just see this watch side by side with my Tissot SEASTAR 1000, the newer 40mm version. I'm leaving a link to a review of this watch down in the description towards this video. You can see, although both watches are 40mm in size, the Panerai is so much bigger. And that is one of the things you should be aware of if you're looking for a Panerai watch in smaller size. They do wear much bigger than their actual diameter. Of course, also because of the crown guard here, the thickness, but because you get a lot of dial without the bezel. So compare the dial of the Tissot with the Panerai here. Now my Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meters side by side with the Panerai. You can see now we're getting close to the size, but this is actually a 42mm big watch. So 40 and 42, and you see still the Panerai, it seems and it feels and it looks bigger. And a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by MONTREUX Premium FKM rubber straps. I got their mug here. And actually I put one of these really nice straps on my Tissot SEASTAR 1000. Very soft, easy removal spring bars. Very nice quality, but not too thick, so they're extremely flexible. You can get a lot of different colors and sizes. So have a look at MONTREUX's website. I'm leaving a link towards their website down in the description. MONTREUX Premium FKM rubber straps, the sponsor of this video. Thanks a lot. So here my Panerai Luminor Marina PAM070 is on my 17cm wrist circumference. I think it wears perfectly. I really do like this watch as a casual summer watch because it's so simple and so legible and also colorful with this beautiful metallic blue sunburst dial. And with a t-shirt or a white polo shirt, it looks amazing in my opinion. I'm definitely looking into finding more colorful straps as well. So let's talk about why this watch is so controversial and why I often get kind of negative comments from people when I show them this watch or talk about me enjoying smaller Panerai watches. Just today I was talking to a friend of mine and he was just saying that the real size for a Panerai is 44mm. And that is true, not in the historic sense, but it's true because if you look at the Panerai catalog, most of their watches are 44mm. They have a lot of 44mm sized watches, and especially with the Luminor Marina, a lot of these watches are 44mm, and they are actually often also cheaper than the 40mm versions. But if you look into the history of Panerai, which was established in 1860 in Florence in Italy, and from 1913 and again in 1935 was a supplier of watches to the Royal Italian Navy with big watches. Some of the original watches that they supplied were 47 to 60mm in size, so much bigger than 44mm. 44mm, in my opinion, is the sweet spot that Panerai they found, probably just before they were bought in 1997 by the Richemont Group. So 44 became the sweet spot for these Luminor Marina watches and also some of the Radiomirs, which often are also 45mm in size. Because Panerai they are loud, they are big, and with the design you expect a Panerai to be big. The Luminor was patented as a name in 1949 by Panerai, and in 1992 they released their very first Luminor Marina watch, just to get some context for this watch. So it was only about 8 years later they released a 40mm version. And I do enjoy the smaller watches, so I don't understand why this watch is so controversial, because at the end of the day, if the market wants smaller watches, which the trend is today, why not release smaller watches? Panerai they are actually looking into having a lot of smaller watches in recent years, but not with the Luminor Marina collection. They did have smaller watches with the PAM48, the PAM49 and the PAM50, which is also Luminor Marina. And if you look into the PAM070, which is a chronograph, a 40mm chronograph watch. In recent years they actually released 38mm watches with the Luminor Due, the PAM00755. So I do enjoy my smaller Panerai here. I think it's the perfect size. I tried the 44mm and it simply felt too big, too loud for my wrist. So what do you think about smaller Panerai watches? And do you really care what other people think about the size of the watch that you buy? Because when I see comments on YouTube and the forums and even talk to people like I just mentioned earlier in this video, they are kind of, yeah, enjoy your watch, but as it's not a 44mm watch or bigger than 44mm, it's kind of not a real Panerai size. It's not the Panerai size, it's not the Panerai design, it's not the Panerai culture to wear smaller Panerai watches. So that is why this watch is kind of controversial, and also because Panerai, they didn't sell a lot of 40mm version watches. Maybe Panerai will be getting into smaller sizes because the whole trend is towards smaller watches. Again, then you see a company like Rolex, they are going towards bigger watches. Let me know what you think about this watch, my PAM070. I enjoy the hell out of it. It feels big on my wrist and it wears really nicely. So in my opinion, this is in no way controversial. This is the watch I like, the size of a Panerai I want, and I probably would never buy a Panerai larger than 42mm. Let me hear down in the comments, and thanks a lot for watching this video. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Visit MONTREUX watch straps, the link is down in the description. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, give this video a thumbs up and a comment down below. I will see you very soon again. Thank you, bye.